This story comes from Sarah, a 28-year-old marketing professional living in Seattle. She posted this on Reddit, and it's one of the most chilling stalker accounts I've ever read. Sarah had a simple routine. Wake up at 6 a.m., hit the gym by 6:30, work out for an hour, then head to her office downtown. She'd been doing this for 2 years at the same 24-hour fitness center. Same time, same machines, same predictable schedule. And that's exactly what he was counting on. It started innocently enough. A guy in his mid-30s started showing up around the same time as Sarah. He'd smile, nod politely, and use the equipment near hers. Nothing unusual. Gyms are social places, right? But then Sarah noticed something odd. No matter which machine she used, he'd somehow end up on the one right next to her. Treadmill, he'd take the adjacent one, even if 20 others were empty. Weight rack, there he was, grabbing dumbbells from the same section. At first, she brushed it off as coincidence. Maybe he just had a similar routine. But after 2 weeks, the pattern was undeniable. He wasn't just working out near her. He was following her through her entire routine. Then came the conversations. "Hey, I see you here every morning," he'd say, a little too enthusiastically. "You're really dedicated. I admire that. What do you do for work? You seemed like you'd be in something creative." Sarah kept her answers short, polite, but distant. She'd learned the hard way that some men mistake friendliness for interest, but he didn't take the hint. One morning, Sarah forgot her water bottle in her car. She left the gym, walked to the parking lot, grabbed her bottle, and headed back inside. The whole trip took maybe 3 minutes. When she returned, he was standing at the gym entrance, just standing there, staring at the door, waiting for her. "Forget something?" he asked with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. That's when Sarah's instincts screamed at her. How did he know she'd left? How did he know she'd come back? Had he been watching her through the window? She started changing her routine. Different times, different days. Sometimes she'd skip the gym entirely and work out at home, but it didn't matter. He found her anyway. Sarah would see him in the grocery store parking lot, at the coffee shop, 3 blocks from her apartment. Once, she swore she saw his car parked down the street from her building at 11 p.m. She told herself she was being paranoid. Seattle's a big city, but not that big. Maybe these were just coincidences. Then she got the Instagram message. "Hey Sarah, it's Mike from the gym. I found your profile. Hope you don't mind me reaching out. You seem really cool, and I'd love to grab coffee sometime." She'd never told him her name. She'd never mentioned her Instagram. She'd never given him any personal information. He'd found her. And if he could find her Instagram, what else had he found? Sarah immediately went to the gym management. She showed them the message, explained the pattern, and asked them to ban him. They said they'd look into it, but couldn't take action without concrete evidence of harassment. So Sarah did what she had to do. She stopped going to that gym. She canceled a membership, joined a new gym across town, and changed her entire morning routine. For 2 weeks, everything seemed fine. No sightings, no messages. She started to relax. Then one night, she came home from work around 8 p.m. She parked in her building's underground garage, grabbed her bag, and headed toward the elevator. That's when she heard footsteps behind her. Fast. Getting closer. She turned around. It was him. Mike from the gym, in her private parking garage, 20 feet away and closing the distance. "Sarah. Hey, I've been trying to reach you," he called out, his voice echoing off the concrete walls. Every instinct in her body screamed to run. She sprinted toward the elevator, pressed the button frantically. The footsteps behind her got faster. Closer. She could hear his breathing. The elevator doors opened. She lunged inside and slammed the close door button over and over. He was 10 feet away, 5 feet. Reaching out, the doors closed. Sarah rode that elevator to the lobby, not her floor. She ran to the front desk security guard and told him everything. The guard called the police immediately. When officers arrived and reviewed the garage security footage, they found something that made Sarah's blood run cold. Mike hadn't just followed her that night. He'd been in that garage 7 times over the past 2 weeks, just sitting in his car, watching the elevator, waiting. The police arrested him that night for stalking and trespassing. When they searched his car, they found a notebook with Sarah's daily schedule written out in detail. Her work address, her gym times, her favorite coffee shop, even the route she took to work. He'd been planning something. What exactly? Sarah will never know, and she's grateful she never found out. The restraining order is still active. Sarah moved to a different neighborhood. She never goes to public gyms anymore, and she never, ever ignores her instincts. Again, if someone's behavior makes you uncomfortable, trust that feeling. Sarah's instincts saved her life. But our next story, the victim ignored the warning signs until it was almost too late. This is story number 2. This story comes from Marcus, a 24-year-old graphic designer from Austin, Texas. He shared this on Reddit, and it is a terrifying reminder that online obsession can become real-world danger in the blink of an eye. Marcus ran a moderately successful art Instagram account, about 15,000 followers. He'd post his digital illustrations, time-lapse videos of his process, occasionally some personal photos, nothing too revealing. Just standard creator content. One day he got a DM from an account called YourBiggestFan_M. The profile had no posts, no followers, no profile picture. Just a blank account. The message said, "Your art speaks to my soul. You're incredibly talented. I feel like I know you." Marcus gets dozens of messages like this every week. He replied with a polite thank you, and moved on. Didn't think twice about it. But YourBiggestFan_M didn't stop there. Over the next week, Marcus received 30 messages from this account. Long, rambling paragraphs about how his art understood them, how they felt a deep connection to him, how they were meant to meet. Marcus ignored them, then blocked the account. 2 days later, a new account messaged him. "You're a true fan_M. Same energy, same obsessive messages." He blocked that one too. Then came Marks_1_M. Then Forever Yours_M. Then WeMitsoon_M. Each account blocked. But they kept coming. Different usernames. Same person. Same obsession. Then the messages changed. "I know you live in Austin. I know you work from home. I know you have a dog named Pixel." Marcus had never mentioned his dog's name publicly. He'd posted photos of Pixel. Sure, but never with a name tag visible. Never with a caption using his name. Whoever this was had been digging deep. Marcus reported the accounts to Instagram. He made his profile private. He stopped posting personal content entirely. For 3 weeks, the messages stopped. He thought it was over. Then, one Saturday afternoon, Marcus was walking Pixel around his neighborhood. It was a beautiful day. Sunny. Quiet. He had his headphones in, listening to a podcast. As he turned the corner onto his street, he noticed someone standing on the sidewalk about 50 feet ahead. A woman, maybe late 20s, staring directly at him. She smiled. Wide. Unsettling. Then she started walking toward him. Fast. Marcus's gut told him something was wrong. He crossed the street. She crossed too. He walked faster. So did she. "Marcus," she called out. "Marcus, wait. It's me. We need to talk." He didn't recognize her. He'd never seen her before in his life. He started running. Pixel, confused but sensing his owner's panic, ran alongside him. Marcus sprinted down the block, took a sharp turn into an alley, and ducked behind a dumpster. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands and called 911. "There's someone chasing me," he whispered to the "I don't know who she is. She knows my name. I think she's been stalking me online." The dispatcher stayed on the line with him. "Officers are 2 minutes away." "Stay where you are. Stay, heathen." Marcus crouched behind that dumpster, heart pounding, holding Pixel close to keep him quiet. He could hear footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. She was looking for him. Marcus, her voice echoed through the alley. I just want to talk. Why are you running from me? We're supposed to be together. Then he heard it. Sirens. Getting closer. The footsteps stopped. Then they started again, running in the opposite direction. When police arrived, they found Marcus still hiding behind the dumpster, shaking. They searched the area, but the woman was gone. Vanished. Marcus gave a statement, showed them the Instagram messages. Explained the months of online harassment. The officers took it seriously. They'd seen this pattern before. Online obsession turning into real-world stalking. They told Marcus to document everything. Save every message. Every interaction. Build a case for a restraining order. But here's where it gets truly terrifying. That night, Marcus got home and checked his doorbell camera footage. He wanted to see if she'd followed him to his house. What he found made him physically ill. The woman had been to his house before, multiple times. The footage showed her standing on his porch at 2 a.m. 3 nights earlier. Just standing there, staring at his door for 20 minutes. Another clip from a week before that. Her walking slowly past his house, stopping to take photos. Another. Her sitting in a car across the street for over an hour. She'd been watching him for weeks, learning his patterns. His schedule, waiting for the right moment to approach him. And Marcus had no idea. The police escalated the case immediately. They pulled traffic camera footage from his street and got a license plate. Ran it through their system. Her name was Jennifer. She lived 2 hours away in San Antonio, and this wasn't her first stalking case. She had a history. 3 previous restraining orders from 3 different victims. 2 arrests. Mandatory psychiatric evaluation. She was supposed to be in treatment. Officers went to her apartment that night. When they searched it, they found a shrine. Printed photos of Marcus covering an entire wall. Screenshots of his Instagram posts. A calendar with his posting schedule marked out. A map of his neighborhood with his house circled in red marker. And a journal. Pages and pages of handwritten entries about their relationship. Their future together. How they were soulmates, and destiny had brought them together. In the final entry, dated the day she chased him, she'd written, "Today's the day we finally meet in person. He'll understand once I explain everything. We're meant to be." Jennifer was arrested and charged with stalking, harassment, and violating a previous restraining order. She's currently serving an 18-month sentence. Marcus moved out of that house within 2 weeks. He deleted his Instagram account entirely, started over with a completely anonymous online presence. He still walks Pixel every day, but now he carries pepper spray, and he never, ever wears headphones anymore. Because he needs to hear if someone's following him. Online stalking is real, and it can escalate faster than you think. Marcus was lucky. He trusted his instincts and ran. But our next victim? She didn't realize she was being stalked until she found evidence that someone had been living in her house. This is story number 3, and it's the most disturbing one yet. This story comes from Amanda, a 32-year-old nurse living alone in Portland, Oregon. She shared this experience on Arna Sleep. And while that subreddit is known for fiction, Amanda provided police report documentation and news articles to verify her story. What happened to Amanda is every homeowner's worst nightmare. Amanda had just bought her first house, a small 2-bedroom Craftsman built in the 1920s. It needed work, but it was hers. She'd been living there for about 3 months when strange things started happening. Small things at first. Food missing from her fridge. A carton of milk she bought on Monday was empty by Wednesday, and she barely drank milk. Bread disappearing faster than she could eat it. She blamed herself. Maybe she was eating more than she realized. Stress from her new job. Long shifts at the hospital. She wasn't keeping track. Then her clothes started going missing. A favorite sweater she'd left on the bed. Gone. She tore her room apart looking for it. Never found it. A pair of underwear from her laundry basket. Vanished. Her work scrubs, she had 5 pairs. Suddenly she only had 3. Amanda started to feel uneasy in her own home, like she was forgetting things, losing her mind. She even scheduled a doctor's appointment, worried she was developing early-onset dementia. But then came the sounds, late at night. When she was lying in bed, trying to sleep, she'd hear creaking. Footsteps. Soft, careful footsteps coming from above her bedroom. From the attic. Now, Amanda's house had an attic access panel in her hallway ceiling. She'd never been up there. The previous owner said it was just empty space. Nothing stored up there. No reason to go up. But those footsteps, they were real. She wasn't imagining them. One night, around 2 a.m., Amanda woke up to a loud thud from above, like something heavy had dropped. She grabbed her phone, turned on the flashlight, and stood in her hallway, staring up at that attic panel. It was slightly ajar. She'd never opened it. It had been flushed with the ceiling when she moved in. She was sure of it. Amanda didn't sleep that night. She sat in her living room with all the lights on, a kitchen knife in her lap, waiting for sunrise. The next morning, she called a locksmith, had him install a deadbolt on her bedroom door, and new locks on all her windows. She told herself she was being paranoid, but she didn't care. She needed to feel safe. That night, she locked herself in her bedroom, pushed her dresser against the door for extra measure, and she waited. Around 1 a.m., she heard it again, creaking. Footsteps, but this time they weren't just in the attic. They were in her hallway. Slow, careful steps. Right outside her bedroom door. Then the doorknob turned. Amanda held her breath, the knife clutched in her shaking hands. The doorknob twisted back and forth. Someone was trying to get in. Then, silence. The footsteps retreated. Back down the hallway, she heard the sound of the attic panel opening, then closing. Amanda called 911, whispered into the phone that someone was in her house, that they'd been living in her attic, that they'd just tried to get into her bedroom. The dispatcher kept her on the line. Officers are 3 minutes away. Stay in your room. Keep the door locked. Don't make any noise. Those 3 minutes felt like hours. When police arrived, they searched the entire house, checked every room, every closet, every window. Nothing. No signs of forced entry. No one hiding anywhere. Then one officer looked up at the attic panel. "Ma'am, do you ever go up there?" "Never," Amanda said. "I didn't even know how to open it." The officer pulled down the panel, extended the fold-down ladder, climbed up with his flashlight. What he found made him immediately call for backup. Someone had been living in Amanda's attic for weeks, maybe months. There was a sleeping bag, pillows, a battery-powered lantern, bottles of water, food wrappers, a bucket for waste, and a pile of Amanda's clothes, her missing sweater, her scrubs, her underwear. But the worst part, the part that made Amanda's skin crawl, there were photos, dozens of them, printed photos of Amanda, sleeping in her bed, showering in her bathroom, getting dressed in her bedroom. Someone had been coming down from that attic at night, while she slept, taking pictures of her, stealing her belongings, watching her. The police found a hole drilled in the attic floor, right above Amanda's bedroom. A perfect vantage point to watch her without being seen. They also found a journal, handwritten entries describing Amanda's daily routine, her work schedule, what time she went to bed, what she ate for dinner, and disturbing fantasies about being together, and she understands soon. Officers set up surveillance that night. They wanted to catch whoever was doing this. Amanda stayed at a friend's house while they waited. At 11:47 p.m., the attic panel opened from the inside. A man climbed down, mid-40s, disheveled. He walked straight to Amanda's bedroom door and tried the handle. When it didn't open, he pulled out a screwdriver and started working on removing the hinges. That's when police moved in. His name was David. He'd been the previous owner's tenant, renting the basement apartment before Amanda bought the house. When the house sold, he was supposed to move out. He never did. He'd been hiding in the attic the entire time. coming down at night when Amanda was at work or asleep, stealing food, watching her, obsessing over her. When police searched his belongings more thoroughly, they found plans, detailed plans for how he was going to make her love him, how he'd eventually reveal himself, how they'd be together. The final entry in his journal, written the night police caught him, said, "Tonight, I stop waiting. Tonight, she becomes mine." David was charged with stalking, burglary, criminal trespass, and invasion of privacy. He's currently serving a 7-year sentenza. Amanda sold that house immediately. She couldn't live there anymore. Couldn't sleep, knowing what had happened, knowing he'd been watching her for months. She now lives in a modern apartment building, 4th floor. No attic, no crawl spaces. Security cameras everywhere, and every single night before bed, she checks every room, every closet, every lock, because she knows now that monsters don't just exist in stories. Sometimes they're living in your ceiling. Take a breath. I know that one was heavy. Amanda's story went viral when she shared it online. It's a reminder to always check your space, especially if you've just moved into a new home. But we're not done yet. Story number 4 involves a stalker who used technology to track his victims' every move. This story comes from Rachel, a 29-year-old teacher from Denver, Colorado. She shared this on our 2XChromosomes. And it's a chilling example of how modern technology can be weaponized by stalkers. Rachel had recently ended a 6-month relationship with her boyfriend, Tyler. It wasn't a dramatic breakup. They just weren't compatible. Different life goals. Different values. She ended things respectfully, wished him well, and moved on. Or so she thought. About 2 weeks after the breakup, Rachel started noticing Tyler everywhere. She'd go to her favorite coffee shop on Saturday morning. There he was, sitting in the corner. She'd meet friends for dinner across town. He'd walk past the restaurant window. She'd go grocery shopping at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. He'd be in the parking lot, just leaving. At first, Rachel thought it was coincidence. Denver's big, but not huge. Maybe they just had similar routines, similar hangout spots. But then it kept happening. Ober-and-over, different locations, different times, different days of the week. He always had an excuse ready. Oh, wow, what are the odds? I was just grabbing coffee. Crazy. Running into you. I'm meeting a friend nearby. Small world, huh? Rachel mentioned it to her friends. They told her she was being paranoid, that she was seeing patterns where there weren't any, that maybe Tyler was just trying to accidentally run into her because he missed her. But Rachel's instincts told her something was wrong. This wasn't coincidence. This was deliberate. She started testing her theory. One Saturday, Rachel told no one where she was going. She drove to a hiking trail 40 minutes outside Denver, a place she'd never been before, a place Tyler didn't know about. She parked, started her hike, and 30 minutes in, she saw him, walking toward her on the trail, smiling like it was the most natural thing in the world. Rachel. Hey, I love this trail. Come here, all the time. He'd never mentioned this trail before. Never posted about hiking. He wasn't even dressed for it, wearing jeans and sneakers, not hiking boots. Rachel turned around and walked straight back to her car. Didn't say a word to him. Got in her car, locked the doors, and drove home. That's when she knew for certain. He was tracking her somehow. Rachel immediately checked her phone, changed all her passwords, logged out of all devices. Checked her location, sharing settings, nothing. Everything was off. No apps had location access. They shouldn't have. So how was he finding her? She called her tech-savvy brother, explained the situation. He came over that evening and did a full sweep of her car. And that's when they found it. Tucked under her rear bumper, hidden in the wheel well, was a small black device about the size of a matchbox. A GPS tracker. Tyler had been tracking her car. Every trip. Every destination. Every stop. He knew exactly where she was at all times. Rachel felt physically sick. How long had it been there? Since the breakup. Before the breakup. How many of her movements had he been monitoring? Her brother told her not to remove it. Leave it there. This is evidence. Call the police right now. Rachel called 911. Explained everything. The coincidental meetings. The hiking trail incident. The GPS tracker. Officers came to her house, photographed the device, documented its location, and removed it as evidence. They told Rachel this was a clear case of stalking and that she should file for a restraining order immediately. But here's where it gets worse. When police ran the serial number on the GPS tracker, they discovered Tyler had purchased it 3 months before the breakup. He'd been tracking her while they were still together. Every time Rachel said she was going to her mom's house or meeting friends for drinks, Tyler knew if she was telling the truth. He'd been monitoring her, testing her, checking up on her. Their entire relationship had been built on surveillance and control. When officers went to question Tyler, he denied everything at first, said the tracker must have been placed by someone else, that he had no idea how it got there. But when they searched his apartment, they found the tracker's app still active on his phone, a map showing Rachel's current location, her home address, updating in real time. They also found something else, a second GPS tracker. Unopened. Still in its packaging. He'd bought a backup. In case she found the first one, Tyler was arrested and charged with stalking, harassment, and unlawful surveillance. He pleaded guilty to avoid trial and received 18 months in prison plus 3 years probation. The restraining order is permanent. Rachel had to sell her car. She couldn't drive it anymore without feeling violated. Couldn't sit in it without wondering what else he might have done to it. She moved to a new apartment, changed her phone number, became hypervigilant about her digital footprint, and now, before she goes anywhere, she checks her car. Every time, looks under the bumper, checks the wheel wells, runs her hands along the undercarriage, because she learned the hard way that stalkers don't just follow you with their eyes anymore. They use technology. They use apps. They use devices you'd never think to look for, and they can track your every move without you ever knowing. If you ever feel like someone knows too much about your whereabouts, check your car. Check your belongings. GPS trackers are cheap, small, and terrifyingly easy to hide. Now, our final story. This one involves a stalker who escalated from obsession to breaking into someone's home while they slept. This final story comes from James, a 26-year-old software engineer living in Boston, Mass. He shared this on our LetsNotMeet with police report verification. What happened to James is the kind of thing that makes you never feel safe in your own home again. James lived alone in a ground-floor apartment, quiet building, safe neighborhood. He'd lived there for 2 years without incident, but 3 months ago, he started having the strangest dreams. Dreams where someone was standing over his bed, watching him sleep. He'd wake up in a panic, heart racing, but no one was ever there. Just shadows and silence. He chalked it up to stress, work deadlines, too much caffeine, bad sleep schedule. But the dreams kept happening. 3, 4 times a week. Always the same. Someone standing there, watching, waiting. Then James started noticing things out of place in his apartment. His bedroom door would be open in the morning. He always closed it before bed. His kitchen chair would be pulled out from the table. He always pushed them in, a glass on his counter that he didn't remember using. Small things. Tiny details. Easy to dismiss as forgetfulness. But James couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. One night, James decided to test his theory. Before going to bed, he placed a piece of tape across his bedroom door frame. Barely visible. If the door opened while he slept, the tape would break. The next morning, the tape was broken. Someone had opened his bedroom door during the night. James felt his blood run cold. Those weren't dreams. Someone had actually been in his room, standing over his bed, watching him sleep. He immediately checked all his windows. All locked. Checked his front door. Deadbolt engaged. No signs of forced entry anywhere. So how was someone getting in? James set up his laptop that night with the webcam facing his bedroom door. He'd record before he went to sleep. If someone came in, he'd have proof. The next morning, James reviewed the footage with shaken hands. At 2:47 a.m., his bedroom door slowly opened. A figure stepped inside. Tall, thin, wearing dark clothes and a hood. The figure stood at the foot of James's bed for 11 minutes, just standing there, watching him sleep, occasionally tilting their head, taking slow steps closer. At one point, the figure reached out and touched James's foot through the blanket. Just touched it, gently, like they were making sure he was real. Then they turned and left, closed the door behind them. James watched this footage 3 times, unable to believe what he was seeing. Someone had been in his room, touching him, watching him while he slept. He called 911 immediately. When police arrived and watched the footage, they escalated the case immediately. This wasn't just trespassing. This was predatory behavior. This person was building up to something worse. Officers searched James's apartment top to bottom, checked every possible entry point, and then they found it. James's bathroom had a small window that led to a shared ventilation shaft between apartments. The window lock was broken. Had been broken when James moved in. He'd never bothered to fix it because the window was tiny, maybe 18 inches wide. He didn't think anyone could fit through it, but someone had. Police checked the ventilation shaft, found scuff marks on the walls, fibers from dark clothing, proof that someone had been crawling through regularly. They traced the shaft to the apartment directly above James's. Knocked on the door. A woman answered. Mid-30s, nervous, wouldn't make eye contact. Do you live alone? The officer asked. No, she said quietly. My brother stays with me sometimes. Is he here now? She hesitated, then nodded. Officers entered the apartment, found her brother in the back bedroom. On his computer, his screen was open to a folder labeled James. Inside were hundreds of photos. Photos of James sleeping, photos taken from inside his bedroom. Different nights, different angles. Going back months. There were also videos, recordings of James sleeping, some over an hour long. Just footage of him sleeping, breathing, completely unaware he was being watched, and a journal. Pages and pages describing James, his routines, his habits, what time he went to bed, what he wore to sleep, how he looked when he was dreaming. The final entry, dated the night before, read, Soon I'll stop just watching. Soon I'll wake him up. Soon he'll know I exist. The man's name was Derek. He'd been obsessed with James for over a year, started by watching him through the ventilation shaft. Then started climbing down into James's apartment at night. He'd stand there for hours, watching, touching, taking photos, building an entire fantasy relationship in his mind. Police found evidence that Derek had been planning to escalate. He'd purchased zip ties, duct tape, a knife, all hidden in his closet. When officers asked him what he was planning to do, Derek said, I just wanted him to see me, to know me, to understand that we're connected. Derek was arrested and charged with stalking, breaking and entering, criminal, trespass, and possession of burglary tools. He's currently in a psychiatric facility serving a 5-year sentence with mandatory treatment. James moved out of that apartment the next day. Didn't even pack properly, just threw his essentials in bags and left. He couldn't stay there another night. He now lives on the 4th floor of a secure building. No ground floor windows, no ventilation shafts. Triple locks on every door. Security cameras inside and outside his apartment, and he never sleeps in complete darkness anymore. Always keeps a light on, because he needs to be able to see if someone's standing over his bed. Those weren't dreams. They were real. Someone had been watching him sleep for months, and James will never feel truly safe in his own bedroom again. 5 true stalker encounters, 5 narrow escapes. 5 people who trusted their instincts and survived. Sarah ran when she saw her stalker in the parking garage. Marcus got you at 911 when he was being chased. Amanda had locks installed when she heard footsteps. Rachel checked her car and found the tracker. And James set up a camera that captured his stalker on video. They all did something that saved them. They didn't ignore the warning signs. They didn't talk themselves out of their fear. They acted. If you ever feel like someone's watching you, following you, tracking you, trust that feeling. Document everything. Tell people. Call the police. Get a restraining order. Stalking is a crime, and it often escalates. These 5 people were lucky. They got out before things got worse. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced stalking? Have you ever felt like someone was watching you? Drop your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else recognize the warning signs. And if you made it this far, thank you for listening. Hit that like button if these stories gave you chills. Subscribe for more true horror every week, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Stay safe out there. Trust your instincts. And remember, if something feels wrong, it probably is. Until next time, stay vigilant. This has been Whispers in the Dark.